Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, Shri Saraswatyai Namaha, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Pada Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashakritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murtibheda Vibhagine व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांशहस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान् नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम्। सुखं नित्यं स्वप्रकाशं व्यापकं नामरूपयोः अधिष्ठानं बुद्ध्यबोध्यं बुद्धेर्दृग्यत्तु निर्मलम् अपारं सर्ववेदान्त वेद्यं प्रत्यक्परं महः तदेवाहं न मत्तोऽन्यत् इति मे निश्चिता मतिः। We are analyzing Aham Brahmasmi Vakya. And in that Aham Brahmasmi Vakya, we finally concluded that yes, I am Brahman. Knowledge in this form shall take place, and that knowledge is true to its nature. Why? Because whatever may the meaning be of word I, you may take that I to be Kūṭastha or cidābhāsa by either the means of Mukhya Samanadhikarana or Badha Samanadhikaranya or Mukhya Samanadhikaranya. They both are understood to be one. You need not necessarily know that which is my Swarupa is Brahman, because what you have already established is that cidābhāsa knows, and cidābhāsa should know that it is cidābhāsa. That is not necessary. Cidābhāsa can know that it is Brahman when its abhasa nature has been dropped. So when cidābhāsa says I am Brahman, it is referring to that I either in the sense of Mukhya Samanadhikaranya or Badha Samanadhikaranya. In both ways, if cidābhāsa thinks of itself to be Kūṭastha, then it is Mukhya Samanadhikaranya, and if cidābhāsa thinks itself of to be cidābhāsa, then by Badha Samanadhikaranya. After having established I am Brahman, later a question was raised. Okay, if in that aham vritti, in that I thought, in I am Brahman, that I, aham, is vritti, a thought modification. Now there are two things that are being known. Either that I is understood as cidābhāsa or Kūṭastha. These two things, if it is Kūṭastha or cidābhāsa, is it known yugapad, simultaneously at the same time, or kramena, sequentially, one after the other? At one point you know it that I to be Kūṭastha, and at another point you know that to be cidābhāsa, or first cidābhāsa then Kūṭastha, for which the answer was given no, it is yugapad, together. And understand what is being told, by which that ignorance that you have shall be dispelled. Having seen this, we had proceeded further with the example of a mirror which has been kept outside in the sun, and this light which is reflecting from that mirror inside on the wall inside the room. The wall is lit generally by the sunlight which is there outside. At the same time, it is also being lit by the light which is being directly reflected from the mirror onto the wall. At the same time, there is reflection of the objects which are inside the room on the mirror. On mirror, there is reflection of the objects which are inside the room. The reflection of those objects is being illumined by the sunlight directly and not by the light which is reflecting. Why do we have established this? Why do we have seen this example? Later the importance will come, but right now we are going to see how knowledge takes place. We have referred to this earlier when we had discussed about vritti vyapti and phala vyapti. Vritti vyapti and phala vyapti. Same thing is being explained here. How the knowledge takes place. Let's first go through the answer, the beginning. Aham vruttau sakshi cidābhāsayoho yugapadbhanam. He somya vispashtam sarataram uttaram uchyate shrunu savadhanamanaha. We have seen this. Let's just go through this again. In that I thought the knowledge that it is cidābhāsa and sakshi is simultaneous. Oh beautiful one, O Somya, O my student, please listen to this answer carefully. I will explain this explicitly in detail what I am trying to say. By knowing this, your darkness of ignorance will get dispelled by the sun of the sun, which is dawn in form of the knowledge, by what you are going to listen. हे शिष्य, साक्षाभासानुभवमपि अहम वृत्तौ युगपद एव प्रतीयते. Sakshi abhasa anubhavam. Anubhava, the experience that I am Sakshi and cidābhāsa, is yugapat, simultaneous in that I thought. Vedanta prakaraneshu sarvatra abhasaha iti shabdena antahkarana sahita cidābhāsaha eva grahyaha. Whenever it is said abhasa in Vedanta, what we are trying to refer to is that abhasa is not just by itself but along with antahkarana vritti. Whenever you say reflection, you take for granted that there is a reflective surface. Without a reflective surface, there cannot be any reflection. There cannot be any reflection without any reflective surface. Antahkarana sahita cidābhāsaha sakshino vishayataya bhati. This antahkarana sahita cidābhāsa, this cidābhāsa along with antahkarana appears as an object for sakshi, the witness consciousness. Sakshi tu swayam prakashataya bhati, but sakshi is known by itself. Sakshi is known by itself. In other words, to know antahkarana endowed with cidābhāsa, you need sakshi, but to know sakshi, you don't need anything at all. Sakshi is self-evident, self-experiencing knowledge principle. Cidābhāsa sahitantahkarana vrittya na sakshi vishayi kriyate. And sakshi is never objectified by cidābhāsa sahita antahkarana vritti. Antahkarana vritti, the thought modifications endowed with cidābhāsa. We had seen this many classes earlier, where what can objectify whom or which can objectify whom. There we had seen sequentially that in the end, Sakshi alone objectifies everything, that Chaitanya alone objectifies everything, and that Chaitanya never becomes an object of knowledge. Chaitanya will always be Sakshi Tattva. Now, with this background, author is moving further with a topic. Then he is going to slightly deviate from that topic to explain another important part in Vedanta understanding, Vedanta theory if you want to say, or Vedantic doctrines, and then again he is going to come back to the topic at hand and explain further. Now this whole topic is related to how knowledge takes place. How do I know? Ghatadi बाह्य पदार्थ ज्ञानोत्पत्ति क्रमः तु एवं. How do we know an object outside? Ghatadi Bahya Padartha Jnanotpatti. Ghata, pot, etc. Adi. Ghata, Adi, pot, etc. Bahya Padartha. Objects which are outside. Jnanotpatti. The knowledge of those. Evam is in this way. The objects outside are known in this way. Indriyanam घटादि विषयैः सह संयोगदशायाम् इन्द्रियद्वारा बहिर्निर्गतान्तःकरणं घटादि विषय समानाकारतां प्राप्नोति. इंद्रियाणां घटादि विषयैः सह. इंद्रियाणां of indriyas घटादि विषयैः सह, when they come together with ghatadi vishaya, objects such as pot, etc. Now, pot, etc. are outside. What do we mean by outside? They are not within me, within this sthula sharira, they are outside, externally present. Tena sa, with those, sanyoga dashayam, when they are coming in contact with each other, indriya dwara, through our senses, through our organs of knowledge, bahihi nirgata antahkaranam, the antahkarana, the inner instrument antahkarana, which has as though gone outside, ghatadi vishaya samadakaratam prapnoti, it becomes the exact replica of an object which is being illumined, covered or known. For the sake of understanding, take it in this way. This is a very beautiful example. Imagine a pot with many holes and just put a lit lamp inside that pot. Now what will happen? The light which is of that lamp will come out through all these holes which are on that pot. In the same way, through these indriyas, this antahkarana vritti is flowing outside. Where does it flow? It flows towards its object of knowledge. Whatever that is to be known by that particular indriya, or antahkarana vritti. Here in this case, it is referring to a pot which is outside in front of my eyes. Now this antahkarana vritti is as though going to go out through my eyes, and it is going to come in contact with that pot. And when it comes in contact with that pot, it becomes the exact replica of that pot. It is going to take the exact shape as that of that particular pot. When it becomes ghatadi vishaya samanakaratam prapnoti, it becomes samana akara, of same shape, size, etc. Exact replica. How? Yatha, just as ayasa mrudava nirmita mushayam. Ayasa mrudava. Ayasa is iron. Mruda is mud. Musha is mold. A mold which is made up of iron or mud. Yatha ayasa mrudava nirmita mushayam. In the mold which is created, which is made up of iron or mud, nishikta drutatamradi musha samanakaratam bhajate. When a molten copper is poured into that mold, that copper is going to take up the shape of that mold. It is going to be the exact replica of that mold. In the same way, evam antahkarana vrittirapi ghatadi samanakaratam bhajate. In the same way, that antahkarana also is going to be of the exact nature and the shape of that particular object which is to be known, not any other object. This is how we had seen while seeing a rope. If our thoughts don't become the exact replica of rope, but they take up the shape of snake, it is that illusion. Anyways, coming back to the topic at hand, ghatadi samanakaratam bhajate. Now, one thing that is to be understood, this vritti is not independent. इयंच वृत्तिः चैतन्याभास सहिता एव जायते न आभासम विना उदेति. This vritti, this thought modification, is born along with cidābhāsa. Without cidābhāsa, it can never be born. You know, there are photoelectric cells, like photoelectric cells, as in they start operating when the light shines on them. So if you shine light on them, they will start functioning. So there are those audio greeting cards. So when you open them, you see, you hear the message, whatever or audio message which has been sent. How it happens? Like when you open, there is that sensor. When the light shines on that sensor, the audio starts. So in the same way, for that, whenever you are going to start an audio, the light is going to be there. In absence of that light, even though audio is there, you are not able to hear it. So similarly, like that, understand it in this way. Without an cidābhāsa, antahkarana vritti cannot be born, and when antahkarana vritti is born, cidābhāsa has to be there. Vrittihi antahkaranasya parinamah. This vritti is modification of antahkarana. We had seen in Jiva and Sakshi, modification of antahkarana. Antahkarana parinamasya vrittihi iti saunya. Consequently, the modification of antahkarana is known as vritti. Antahkarana by itself does not have any shape, form as such. It is just by itself. When it takes any shape, form, it is called as vritti. Antahkaranam hi sattva guna karyatvat swachham. This antahkarana is the product of sattva guna, shuddha sattva. That's why it is swachha, without any blemish. Ataha, therefore, tatra chaitanyabhasaha jayate. And therefore, because it is swachha, without any impurity, chaitanyabhasaha tatra jayate. Chaitanya, this consciousness, pure consciousness, can reflect on that particular medium. There is a very beautiful experiment which is done to understand how dark a surface is. And there is a color called as, I think, manta black, something like that, which can absorb almost more than 90% of the light. So imagine you paint that any wall or all the walls of your room with that color. Switch off the light in pitch dark of the night, and you light torch on any wall. You will not come to know that there is wall. You will not know anything at all. Why? Because even in darkness, even on dark surface, whenever you are shining any light, that dark surface, that black surface is not absorbing all the light which is available. Some light is being reflected. That's why you know there is something which is dark in color, which is black in color. But imagine all the light is being pulled in, like in black hole. How will you come to know if the object is there or not? Even though the Chaitanya is shining, if that it itself is not Swachha, Chaitanya cannot reflect. That's what happens with Tamoguna. But with Sattva Guna, it can reflect, it can sustain the reflection of Chaitanya. And why this happens? Because Antahkarana is the product of Sattva Guna. Ataha tatra Chaitanyabhasah jayate. There is reflection of Chaitanya. Tathaiva vrittehe api swachhantahkaranakaryatvat. And vritti also swachhantahkaranakaryatvat, being the product of pure swachha antahkarana, pure antahkarana, tatrapi chaitanyabhasah jayate. In that vritti also there is reflection of Chaitanya, that is cidābhāsa. So there is cidābhāsa in antahkarana, and when antahkarana modifies to form a vritti, that vritti being the product of antahkarana, which is swachha, that vritti can also reflect Chaitanya. So cidābhāsa is there along with vritti also. Utpadyamana sa vrittihi sabhasantahkaranadev utpadyate. Now, understand it in this way, that vritti which is being born out of cidābhāsa, no, not cidābhāsa, antahkarana, is not being born only out of antahkarana, but antahkarana which is endowed with cidābhāsa. Sabhasa antahkaranat. From antahkarana which is endowed with cidābhāsa, vritti is being born. Thought modifications are being born. Atopi karanat. For this reason also, vrittihi abhasa vishishta eva udeti. This vritti which is born is endowed with cidābhāsa. That vritti is endowed with cidābhāsa. Now, author is explaining something which is very important to know. There is this major topic of discussion in Vedanta. What is the locus of avidya and object of avidya? Locus, the adhisthana, and object, vishaya. Chaitanyameva ajnanasya ashrayah vishayascha. Now keep aside with you the earlier explanation that vritti is endowed with cidābhāsa and it is along with cidābhāsa. Now, why do we need to analyze what is the locus and vishaya of avidya? Because later we are going to need this analysis. Chaitanyameva ajnanasya ashrayah vishayascha. Author clarifies and explains his own stand, what he is trying to say. The locus and object of avidya is nothing but Chaitanya alone. Ghatadir vishayah tamoguna karyatvat sarupatah jadaha. Pot, etc., they are born out of, they are the product of tamoguna. Why tamoguna? They are made up of panchikruta panchamahabhuta. Panchikruta panchamahabhuta, grossified 5 elements, are the product of tamoguna or tamogunatmika maya. Going back to the basics of Vedanta, there is maya, divide that maya into 2. Sattva guna pradhana, milita. Then in sattva guna there is shuddha sattva, malina sattva. Shuddha sattva goes to Ishvara, malina sattva goes to Jiva. Then there is rajoguna and tamoguna, and then actually there is tamoguna itself. Take sattva raja one side, tamoguna one side, tamoguna pradhana. And then at tamoguna, again there is sattva, raja and tama. Because it is tamoguna pradhana. And then there from sattva guna, what do we see? Actually from direct tamoguna you will see grossified 5 elements, grossification, Panchamahabhuta and grossification. And then there is from sattva guna, antahkarana, rajoguna, indriya, karmendriya, sattva guna, jnanendriya, etc. So Panchikruta Panchamahabhuta are product of tamoguna. Therefore, pot is tamoguna karya, the product of tamoguna. Tasmat ajnanam tatkaryam avaranam cha jade ghatadi vishaye asti iti ahuhu kechana. Because ghata is the product of tamoguna and tamoguna is jada in nature, ajnana pradhana. Therefore, ajnanam, ignorance, and its product, that is avarana, jade ghatadi vishaye asti, is residing in, is located in ghatadi, the ghatadi vishaya, pot, etc. This is the understanding, this is the stand, this is what some few people say. Actually, this is what is said by this doctrine is accepted by Bhamati Prasthana. Bhamati, a school of thought in Vedanta, and another is Vivarana Prasthana, which is by Padmapadacharya, and he accepts Chaitanya is the locus and object of avidya. Why is it so? Tadidam apataramaniyam. If you take pot, ghata, etc. to be the locus and object of avidya, it is your kalpana, it is your wishful thinking, imagination alone. Vichara drushtya tu chaitanye eva ajnana tatprayuktavarane staha natu ghatadav vishaye. If you really inquire, in Chaitanya alone, ajnana tatprayukta avarane staha, ignorance and its product, avidya, can be there. Why? Natu ghatadav vishaye. Why not in pot? Ajnanam chaitanyam eva ashritya tadeva vishayi karoti iti Vedanta siddhantaha. This is the doctrine, this is the rule in Vedanta. What is it? Ignorance taking support of Chaitanya objectifies that Chaitanya alone. What do we mean by objectifies? Because of ignorance, what is not known? Chaitanya is not known. So what is the object of ignorance? Object of ignorance is the same as that of object of knowledge, that is Brahman. Now this is again from the relative standpoint, from the understanding of ignorance and knowledge. In reality, from absolute standpoint, Chaitanya can never be the locus of avidya or the object of avidya. Let me give you an example. The sun is covered by clouds. The sun is behind clouds. Now, a person says, the sun is covered by clouds. Okay. So that person, or let's say, I say, the sun is behind clouds. Now, am I seeing sun? No. So I don't know that sun is there. Now, because of whom do I know the existence of clouds? Cloud, the sunlight. So, for knowledge of cloud, for cloud to exist, in my understanding, for cloud to exist, we do need sun. So, existence of cloud is dependent on sun. At the same time, that on which that cloud is dependent for its existence, for its knowledge, that cloud is covering that itself, that sun is itself. So sun itself is being covered by the cloud which is known because of the sun. Imagine there is no sun in the sky in pitch dark night where you are not able to see even stars also. Even though this is the rare case, will you know if clouds are there or not? No. There is nothing which can make us know the clouds are there. In the same way, ignorance is known, avidya is known because of whom? Because of Chaitanya. So avidya has its locus in Chaitanya and it covers Chaitanya itself. For whom? For Jiva and not for Chaitanya. For Jiva and not for Chaitanya. Ajnanam Chaitanyam eva ashritya tadeva vishayikaroti iti Vedanta Siddhanta. This is what is Vedanta being this is what is being said in Vedanta, what Vedanta is trying to say. Again, let me just give you a disclaimer, a clarification. The other idea, it is very much strong and it has its own reasonings and explanation. The only thing is which prakriya, which process of understanding that you follow, depending on that, things can be justified. Let's not go into that discussion. Coming back to Ajnana having its locus and object in Chaitanya, a quotation is being given from Sankshepa Shariraka. आश्रयत्व विषयत्व भागिनी निर्विभाग चितिरेव केवला पूर्वसिद्ध तमसो हि पश्चिमो नाश्रयो भवति नापि गोचरः. आश्रयत्व विषयत्व भागिनी. आश्रयत्व, आश्रय, locusness, and vishayatva, vishayaness, objectness. So the quality being locus and being the object, these qualities are in nirvibhaga chiti. Nirvibhaga chiti, chiti chaitanya, in Chaitanya, which is undifferentiated. Nirvibhaga, undifferentiated as in Shuddha Chaitanya, which has not undergone any modification as though to create any creation or world, etc. So that Shuddha Chaitanya alone is the locus and the object of avidya. The locus and object of avidya is that undifferentiated pure consciousness alone. Why do you say so? What is the reason? Simple. पूर्वसिद्ध तमसो हि पश्चिमः नाश्रयो भवति नापि गोचरः. पूर्वसिद्ध तमसः हि, the prior existing ignorance, न आश्रयः नापि गोचरः पश्चिमः भवति. पश्चिमः, पश्चिमः, that which comes later. What has come later of ignorance? That is Jiva. So Jiva, which has come later, which is the product of ignorance, cannot be Ashraya and Vishaya, the locus and the object of ignorance. The Jiva, which has come later after ignorance, cannot be Ashraya and Vishaya of ignorance, locus and object of ignorance. प्राक् सप्तावस्था निरूपण प्रसंगे अज्ञानाश्रयः अंतःकरण विशिष्ट चिदाभासः इति उक्तम्. Now he is going back to our earlier explanation, seven stages of avidya, etc. And he is explaining. While explaining those seven states of cidābhāsa, ajnānāshrayah, the ashraya, the locus, the substratum of ajnana was said to be antahkarana vishishta cidābhāsa. Antahkarana endowed with cidābhāsa. Sacha ajnanasya abhimani ashrayah. That ashraya, that locus is ajnanabhimani, which has owned up that ignorance. How? Aham ajnaha. I am ignorant. I don't know. Iti abhimanaha antahkarana sahita abhasasya jayate iti yavat. Who says I don't know? Antahkarana endowed with cidābhāsa. Tasmat abhasah ajnanashrayah iti uchyate. Therefore it is said that abhasa, cidābhāsa, is the locus, substratum for ignorance. Mukhyashrayastu, but in reality, the mukhya ashraya, what is the real substratum? Na chaitanyameva, that Shuddha Chaitanya alone is the substratum. Na abhasa sahita antahkaranam, not that abhasa sahita antahkarana, antahkarana endowed with cidābhāsa. Why? Abhasa sahita antahkaranasya ajnana karyatvat. Because abhasa sahita antahkarana by itself is product of ignorance. Yadyasya karyam na tattasya ashrayah bhavati. And a product of something cannot be the ashraya, substratum for its cause. A product cannot be the substratum for its cause. Tasmat ajnanasya kevala chaitanyam eva adhisthana rupashrayah. Therefore, for ignorance, ajnana alone is the adhisthana. Then why do we say abhasa sahita antahkarana vritti? Simple. There is a house. In house, there is huge trunk. In that trunk, lot of gold has been kept. Now, what is the support of that gold? The trunk. But the owner of that house says, I am wealthy. Now, owner is saying, I am wealthy. That gold belongs to me. I am the support of that gold. Now, who in reality is the support of that gold? In reality, that trunk itself is the support, but because it has been owned up by that owner, he says, I am the support. In the same way, antahkarana owns up. It takes up the adhishthanatva. And that's how it is being expressed, I am ignorant. In that sense, antahkarana is said to be, antahkarana endowed with cidābhāsa is said to be the locus, the substratum, adhishthana of ajnana. Now, what about Vishaya? Vishayasya tasya chaitanyam eva. That chaitanya alone is Vishaya. Sarupa tiraskaraha eva ajnana vishayatvam iti uchyate. Giving up one's own swarupa, tiraskara, giving up, discarding one's own nature is ajnana, and that is the Vishaya. Etat ajnana krutyam avaranam jadavastuni na yujyate. Now this cannot be, this ignorance cannot be in an object which is jada, insentient. It cannot be there. जडवस्तुनः स्वरूपत एव आवृतत्वात्. Jadavastu, an insentient object, is by itself avruta, covered. Tatra कृत्यावरणस्य प्रयोजनाभावात्. Jadavastu, insentient object, which by itself is tamogunatmaka, is not known, avrutta. You don't need another avarana to cover. In absence of cidābhāsa or in absence of chaitanya, insentient entity can never be known. So you don't need any ignorance to cover that also again. Tathacha ajnanam swashraya chaitanyameva vishayikaroti. And ignorance covers its substratum chaitanya alone. That chaitanya alone is covered, objectified. Yatha गृहांतस्थम तमः स्वाश्रय भूतम गृहमेव आवृणोति तद्वत्. Just as the darkness inside that house covers the house itself, veils the objects inside the house. Now, darkness is sustained by that house itself. If there are no walls, the light outside is going to come in, but that doesn't happen. Tasmat ghatadau jade ajnanavarane na sambhavatah. Therefore ghatadau, in pot etc., jade, which is jada, ajnanavarane na sambhavata. Ajnana and avarana is not possible. In conclusion, insentient entity cannot be the support and that is locus and the object of avidya. Okay. Now, after having explained this whole thing, what is the locus of avidya, object of avidya, etc., we are coming back to the analysis. How do we know that vritti is endowed with cidābhāsa? Now, what exactly is happening is, let's say, for example, this watch. Now, this watch is in my hand. Can you see this watch? No. So, there is a covering. When I remove this covering, the watch is being seen. But imagine there is total darkness. There is total darkness around. And now, if I hold in my hand this watch, even if I remove my hand, can you see if watch is there or not? No. Why? That illuminating power which needs to illumine the existence of watch, that light, is not there. In absence of light, even if the object is not covered by anything, you cannot know that that object is there. Like there is a very beautiful example. There is gold inside the mud pot. That pot is in a very pitch dark room. You go inside that dark room, you don't have any source of light, but with stick you break that pot. Now gold is open outside, available to see for your own eyes. But can you see that gold? No. It is not swaprakasha. It cannot shine forth. In the same way, what is happening is, when that thoughts along with cidābhāsa envelop the object and those thoughts become the exact replica of that object which is being known, those thoughts are uncovering the ignorance. They are removing the veiling part of ignorance from that object. So, the uncovering, removal of avarana, veiling, is being done by thoughts and not by cidābhāsa. But even after that uncovering, you need to have illumination. And that illumination, that prakashana, is being done by cidābhāsa. And when such both things happen, you know that object. But for knowing one's own true self, you don't need cidābhāsa. Why? Because self is of the nature of prakasha, knowledge principle. That's why we had seen the example, a lamp is covered by a pot. You don't need external light to know if the lamp is there. Lit lamp, let me say. Lit lamp, if that lamp is there or not, you just have to remove the covering, the avarana. This explanation in detail we will see the next time. And again, author is going to explain different modes and means of knowledge, pramana. That also we will see, analyze next time. Om asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritangamaya samastaloka sukhino bhavantu samastaloka sukhino bhavantu samastaloka sukhino bhavantu. Om shanti shanti shanti. हरिः ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. हरिः ओम.